Since Peter Obi, former Anambra State governor, declared his intention to run for president in the 2023 general election in Nigeria, the peace-loving, soft-spoken gentleman has visited the 6 geopolitical zones of the country to canvass for support amid challenges of insecurity, inflation, and religious crisis, just to mention a few. During his nationwide delegates campaign tour, the former presidential running mate to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar in the 2019 general election stated that he only needs 4 years to fix Nigeria. Obi said he will replace the sharing formula of monthly allocation with a production formula if elected. He further stated that Nigeria has been badly managed over the years and the country is collapsing. In a meeting with PDP delegates in Kaduna State, Peter Obi promises to turn Nigeria into a producing nation that is less development on oil. Joining us
in yesterday.
Since his tour across the Federation soliciting delegate support, presidential hopeful Peter Obi has visited 34 states. While speaking to party delegates in Kaduna, Obi laments the state of insecurity, surging unemployment rates, and the over 15 million out-of-school children in Nigeria. He tells delegates that it's time to rebuild Nigeria, taking the nation from its consumption status to a production-based economy.
When Obasanjo left government, we were owing just 3 trillion. Today we are owing 58 trillion. And Nigerians don't care. Nobody cares here. Everybody thinks they see something to share. People of Kaduna, all I came today to tell is that whatever we are sharing is finished. We must not build. We must not go back into productivity. All that the government, all that I can do is to invest in our youth. We have youths who are energetic. We have youths who are hardworking. We will invest in them to be productive.
Peter Obi's campaign director general describes him as a man with the requisite experience to fix Nigeria's economy. Meanwhile, the Kaduna State PDP chairman says it's time for the northern region to use their voting strength to elect persons with a performing track record.
When we are going for voting, let's in Kaduna State, we are not going to talk about voting a northerner or a southerner. We are going to talk of voting a Nigerian, a capable Nigerian.
Whether it is APC or PDP, no presidential aspirant to date has the same qualification or can rank close to what Peter Obi has. Not one. So when you elect him as the PDP candidate, you are choosing the best of the very best.
Obi decries the moribund state of the Kaduna textile industry, which used to pride itself as one of the largest textile industries in West Africa. He promises to revitalize the textile industry and create jobs for the teeming youths.
The money we've borrowed and consumed or thrown away, if we are taking just 10% of it, 5% of it and thrown to the textile industry, Nigeria would have been a different place. We can earn more money from exporting textiles and garments than we earn from oil. Oil is just giving us $15 billion. Here, Bangladesh is doing $36 billion from garments, textiles, and Vietnam is doing $32 billion. They are more than oil, so we can do more. All you need to do is to remove Nigeria from consumption to production. I know how to do it. I'm a wealth creator.
Peter Obi, the presidential hopeful, is appealing to Kaduna delegates to support him get the party's presidential ticket. He says if elected, he would turn the fortunes of Nigeria around for good. Mr. Gabriel, Arise News, Kaduna.
Joining us now is Mr. Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State and a presidential aspirant on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Mr.
Good morning.
Ruben, for having me. Thank you, my brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Well, before we talk about your tour of the 36 states of the Federation, let's talk about the major incident that everyone has been worried about, the ugly news of the murder of Deborah Samuel, a student of Shehu Shagari Sokoto College of Education, and the attendant uprising that followed that. What are your comments on this ugly incident? It seems to be causing so much sadness.
Ruben, for me, the first thing is to most sincerely condole the family on this very sad incident. That incident diminishes our society, diminishes Nigeria as a country. It shows how fragile our cohesion is, how fragile people do not obey or respect our constitution and our loving living as a society. Because we have a constitution that guarantees us freedom of worship, free speech, everything, and that people should not take laws into their hand, no matter how aggrieved or offended, anything you feel. So for me, it is a very sad situation that should not be in today's society. And it's one of the things why whenever I'm campaigning around, I keep saying, I will work hard to build a Nigeria where people will have respect for law and order, love each other, work hard to ensure that our cohesion gets better. Because what is this? It hits our intangible assets, our contribution to our growth. So for me, very sad situation. I know so many bodies have been taking on the issue seriously the way it should be.
Right, so to go back to what you first said, Dr. Abati, you just completed your tour of the 36 states of the nation, and it's believed that you're the first aspirant to do that in either APC or PDP. I want to know what informed that plan. Why did you decide to tour each state individually? How did the delegates receive you? And what were the problems that you observed around the country and how you intend to fix them?
Well, I've actually toured 36 states. So it should be, it's normally 36 states plus one. There's only one I haven't gone to, but that is personal to me, But let me tell you why I decided to tour these states individually. And I was discussing this with somebody that's been close to me recently in terms of even supporting and helping me as I do this tour, Dr. Kube. And I said to him, listen, doctor, as governor, I visited every local government in Anambra State. I slept in them. Even when it's a short distance of 1 hour from Oka. And I said to him, today, if I have opportunity of serving this country, before doing any visit outside this country, unless for an inevitable invitation, or somewhere that is, I must go for a meeting, I will first tour the 36 states of Nigeria. Stay there, discuss with the stakeholders on ways and means in which we can build a more cohesive, a peaceful, caring society. Look at ways in which we can bring the best of every state. It's critical. The same thing is what I did by going from one state to the other to largely be able to canvass and interact with the delegates from that state on why we cannot continue on the path we are today. But there's a if I tell you, it's very difficult. I find so many things very worrisome. Very, very worrisome. One is that our politics remain very largely transactional. Two, which is very sad, most worrisome to me, is that what makes a country, one of the most important ingredients of being a nation is respect, trust people have for their currency. Currency is a measure of faith and trust of citizens in their nation. Currency is a measure of productivity. Currency is a measure of your economy. I find it very, very worrisome that government officials who are supposed to be protector of this particular item, our currency, have abandoned the currency and are now spending dollars. I find it worrisome that while our manufacturers, business people cannot find dollars for critical inputs into manufacturing, critical import of spares and everything, the dollar is scarce. But the politicians found money to share. No country of the world would this happen. And this is being shared by people who have no legitimate means of earning dollar ever in their life. So it's a different thing if somebody comes and says, oh, Peter, I invested money in this and I earned $500,000. That's what I'm sharing. But that Reuben, whom I know, had not earned any dollars in the past 5 years, is sharing dollars openly. And nobody is questioning that. One, you diminish your currency, you ruin your economy and everything. I was in Morocco just within the past 3 weeks. I bought travel allowance from Nigeria and I went to Morocco, met people, and I said, they told me that this dollar, I have to cash it through using my credit card. So I said, where's dollar credit, where is dollar credit, this point where I can cash my dollar? I was shocked that they told me, not in Morocco, that I have to change that money in their currency if I want to. And now it's in every country. And when I spoke to the government official, I said, why wouldn't you have a place that can cash dollars? He said, not in Morocco. In Morocco, you spend our currency. So you must change that dollar in our currency. In Nigeria, government officials and everybody is changing our own currency into dollar. And this is dollar we cannot give to manufacturers. This is dollar we cannot. Again, if following up to that is that while we cannot pay gratuity, pensions of people who have worked hard in this country, while we're owing workers, owing lecturers where our young ones are not in school, owing teachers in various states of Nigeria, politicians have huge amount of money to share. So there's a disconnect between the entire thing. As more as I travel and talk, the more I get more worried. And I look at myself, I've been a governor. I went for second tenure. I went for election through the time I was in office. I can't remember calling people to share the money. Whenever I invite them, I show them, this is what I'm doing, and this is where I saved your money. The one that is remaining. I've done this road, I've done this, and this is where the remaining is. But that today, people are sharing, you're owing teachers, kids are not in school, the kids don't have this and you're sharing money. It is absolutely worrisome. That's my observation. But in any case, I'll continue to go on hoping that somewhere we'll be able to get this issue dealt with. We can't continue this way. No nation can continue this way, where you get up in the morning and you're sharing people money for no productivity. And the money you're sharing, everybody is aware that a few years ago, Peter Obi, Reuben Abati, who is sharing money today, have no legitimate means, no office of any such money. So that money, we know where it came from. And nobody's screaming. Nobody's shouting.
Okay. So, it's just a debacle with Nigeria as everything, you know, we monetize politics and monetize everything. I want to pick your brains. You constantly talk about moving Nigeria from a sharing to a producing nation. I'd like you to clarify that your position. And, you know, how do we intend to achieve this? I mean, you talked about the textile industry, for instance, in that video. You talked about the fact that we can make more from textile than we make from crude oil. I mean, how do we do this? How does Nigeria truly make wealth? Because Nigeria is a poor country as we speak today. Very poor.
Nigeria is not a poor country. The leadership of Nigeria is poor. You have to remove the... Nigeria is a very rich country, blessed by God, with good weather, with good everything. You know, Nigeria is not poor. What is poor is leadership. When you have poor leadership, you cripple everything. You make everybody poor. Because your thinking is poor, your leadership is poor. You can remove Nigeria from being a consuming, sharing country to productive country. She just mentioned about my tour. Whenever state I reach, as I land, I look at the agricultural aid, the land, the massive land God gave Nigeria. I look at the people God gave Nigeria. And I ask myself a question. How did we get here? About that is a very simple thing. Nigeria is a country of about 31,000 square kilometers of land.
923,000.
923. Very good. Very good correction. Vietnam is 331,000 square kilometers. Nigeria is 200 million population. Vietnam is 100. Vietnam export last year is about 300 billion. Total export. Nigeria export last year is about 30 billion. 10% of Vietnam. So we have a third of their land. We have half of their, we have twice their population. They have a third of our land, half of our population. Look at the productivity. That shows, you know, they're producing anything. The 5 or 6 biggest states in Nigeria, Niger, 76,000 square kilometers, Borno, about 70, Taraba, 54,000, I think Kaduna, 46, Bauchi, 45. The 5 biggest or 6 biggest states in Nigeria is about 340,000 square kilometers. It's bigger than Vietnam. That's 6 states. And look at what they're doing. And what is Vietnam exporting? Vietnam is exporting manufactured goods, not oil. 98% of their export is manufactured goods. Number 1 is electronics. Are you saying it cannot be manufactured in Nigeria? It can.
We had Debo Electronics.
No, I said it can. Even when that time wasn't in Vietnam. And you, number 2, or followed by that, is again issues of phones. Number 3 is textile that I mentioned. 32 billion. Kaduna used to be home of textile and garments. Where is it? These 3 sisters I called you, Kaduna is there. They're not doing that. I said it in Kaduna, that we can export even if it's just 2 billion. They are doing 32 billion. Bangladesh is 36. There's nothing happening in Kaduna. In fact, you can't travel to Kaduna. I wanted to go to Kaduna. People said, you can't go to Kaduna by road. No flight goes to Kaduna. No train goes to Kaduna. If I want to go to Kaduna, I have to go to Kano and drive to Kaduna. What are you talking? Kaduna? Where we have all our meeting instructions and everything. No. Because you've created a country that is not productive. It's simple. So, this is just talking about being productive. The fourth or fifth biggest export of Vietnam is footwear, which Abba can deliver. Abba used to do it, 23 billion. More than oil, just shoes and footwear. This is something that is so simple that you can do. I was in Bangladesh. You see me give an example. For good 1 week, went to the villages, saw women sewing and doing this clothing. They are exporting. And I can tell you, Nigerian women are bright, more hardworking than these women. All we needed to do is to support them, ensure proper government committed grants to them, not to TV show. It is a straightforward thing. I can go on and show you why to even turn in these states that I mentioned, 340,000 square kilometers. It's just, Netherlands is just 10% of them. 10%, 333,000 square kilometers. They exported agricultural goods, 120 billion. These 6 states can't even feed themselves. I was in Taraba, and I was landing in Taraba. I look at the lovely place, the Mambila area and everything. You can grow coffee there. Ethiopia, this is not first world now, exported coffee last year, $905 million. You can go and check it. Ethiopia, this is not foreign, not Colombia now, who have done much more, but Ethiopia, yeah. You can grow flour there. Kenya did flour, almost $500 million last year, flour export. In fact, young girls, non-graduates that pick flour in Kenya are paid between $100 and $150, which is about 100,000 now, a minimum wage is starting. These are countries in Africa. Morocco did an agricultural export of about 10 billion. What is Nigeria doing? We're just waiting to share this oil money. That's what we are sharing. Even when we share it, we politicians cut it away and using it to buy people as if they are goats and everything, rather than encourage them. So you can turn it around. How do you do it? Most of these corporations you see across all these countries are driven by small businesses which are dominated by the youth. And we have large of them. Very innovative, very entrepreneurial, You see all these boys, they even call Yahoo boys. That's how India started. They were doing Yahoo until a leader came and turned them around. They turned that the same thing they were using to defraud people into what became today that India dominates, the ICT. That shows the talent is there. What they need is direction, somebody that will pull them in the right direction, support them, small businesses. Small businesses have died here. That's what is driven. Service industry contributes 41% of GDP of Vietnam. And what is happening there is all SMEs doing small businesses. Our manufacturing today contributes only about 9%, even below that, of our GDP. Not for a developing country. Not for a country of our size. China is 30%. If you go to other countries, you see it, they are above 15%. That shows you don't have power, you don't have anything, you don't have access to it. These are not rocket science.
A lot of people say there are structural problems on ground. So if you say you want to do all this without fixing power, for instance, other structural problems, how do you get it done?
That's what I'm telling you. Fixing power is not rocket science. Let people not talk about this thing. You see, we got it wrong from the first privatization and other things and everything. Well, because you must have a commitment that you're going to do this right. What happens in this Nigeria is that, okay, we want to privatize power. We do not look at the study from beginning to end and know how this is going to. What are we talking about power? between 2015 and today, Egypt had doubled its power production from 26,000 to 55,000. Egypt, I mean, if we don't want, I as a president, will go there and sit there and say, how did you do this? It's not from the moon. Today, you are the giant of Africa. You're generating 4,000 megawatts, which is what we've generated since the house born. The second biggest economy, South Africa, is doing about 50,000 with 60 million people. The third biggest economy, which is Egypt, is doing 55,000 with 100 million people. Let me tell you, if we want power to change, it will change. The first time we borrowed money to do power here was 1964. You have seen me say it. I went to Tumbo Tafa Balawa. People say, where are you going here, Peter? I said, I came to pay respect to this great man who loved Nigeria, who governed Nigeria. In September 1964, all of you have access to it. Tafa Balawa wrote World Bank saying, I want to borrow $82 million to build Kainji Dam 58 years ago. In that letter, he said, to spur economic growth of my country. In the reply from the World Bank, they said, we approve this because it will help in development of your country. If you value $82 million in today's money, it's about $1 billion. So for $1 billion, he had the foresight to build about 1,000 megawatts of electricity. Today, our debt is about $120 billion. Imagine if you threw a third of it to generating power at $1 billion per 1,000. We would have had 40,000 megawatts. This place would have been a manufacturing hub for the entire Africa. Because we have the talent, Newi, Eba, Kanu, everything. I went to Kanu. All the industries are dead. So what you have now is that you have millions of people who are begging. I went to Onitsha, same thing. I went to Aba, same thing. These are people who are industrious, who wants to work, who are willing to go back. So you can change it by borrowing the same money and throwing it in the right direction, not borrowing it for sharing or for anything of anybody to talk, something like that. So it's very easy. We can change it.
Okay. Well, all this about productivity and making Nigeria competitive, I guess we can't do it without strong human capital.
Completely.
With capacity.
Yes.
And only the other day, the chief of the field office of UNICEF in Kano was saying that the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria is now about 18.5 million. Out of that figure, the same figure that used to be 10.5, at one point we were told it was 13 million. Out of that 18.5 million, 60% are girls, the girl child. And this 60%, most of them are in one part of the country, the northern part of the country. Now, how do you intend to tackle this issue of education in the country to ensure that we have a competitive, group that can take Nigeria forward and ensure this productivity that we've been talking about?
Ruben, I've always said that my number one priority is education. Number two is education. Number three is education, because the more educated your country is, and it's been shown, the better your economy. Because you can't talk about productivity, you can't talk about it without investing in education. And it's very simple, especially in education of women. You can't talk of any country that is doing well today without talking about education of women. Because actually, they are more organizers. They're better in terms of being productive. It's been shown that women are actually more productive than men. I'm talking about cotton industry in Bangladesh. It's 60% dominated by women. It was then in Vietnam. And you can go on and on. It's a question of government understanding this is where we're going to go. We're talking about investment in education. For example, one of the places even Central Bank was trying to dash people money, if you bring is diaspora remittances. We have 5 million Nigerians living outside this country, and they are remitting about $15 to $20 billion. Imagine if you educate, say, 15 million, you can even succeed in putting investment in 10 million of them, and they leave this country. And that's what remittances, we hit 50. That's what Philippines is doing. They become a servant of the world. That's what we talk about Singapore, talk about everything. It is about education. So you invest in it. There's no way this country can comfortably invest in education. The amount of money we borrowed and sharing, Reuben today can fund education. I was a governor. When I came in, we had a problem in Anambra State. Our problem was that the boys were not going to school because they wanted to go and trade. They didn't see any value in education. So we had 80% girls in school, 20% boys. When I came in, nobody wanted to talk about education. Of course, we're lagging. We're number 26, 27. I even saw Governor Makinde the other day in one of his achievements. He said he has moved Oyo from 26 to number 11. Because I remember very well, that time, Anambra used to be 26, when it used to be this. And I said to myself, it can't be. We can change this. We will invest in education. But what we did was simple. We put in the resources direct to the school. And it worked. We moved from 26, number 1, 2011, 2012, 2013. Today we have the highest cutoff point. You can change it anywhere. I've been to schools everywhere in the world. If you ask Governor Tambowal, I visited Sokoto once. Said, where are you going to? I said, I'm going to schools. I went to schools in the border. I went to schools, about 4 schools in Sokoto. Bishop Kuka would tell you, and you could see people who wants to learn. But why are they not doing that? Because we have refused to invest. Ruben, let me even tell you, what we are going today in terms of criminality, our children will refuse to invest and educate yesterday, they become a problem for us today. And the earlier we start educating the ones that are coming now, the better. So we will do that. And there's resources to that. All this money you see that's being budgeted for education and everything, never get to schools. They don't get to where they should be. What we are going to do now is to have a policy. Nigeria cannot be, look at what World Bank said yesterday, that we are 7th worst country in human development. Nigeria. This is a country that used to be exemplary. People used to come from, when I was in Nsukka, we had exchange students from America, from everywhere. People used to come to Ibadan to learn, to do this. So what is happening? We now go to Ghana. We now go to this. It will change. Our HDI I have now become 161 over 185. It cannot be. Because we are country, we have the resources. People will tell you we don't have the resources. Where did we put the one we borrowed?
Speaking of which, JP Morgan has removed Nigeria from its emerging markets index, and it's feared that other banks may follow suit. So speaking of borrowing, our debt level is already high. Are we going to have problems securing funding? Will we be able to actually borrow?
Well, not if you're borrowing for a good reason. Yes, we have a problem. We were delisted because they said the reason. When I heard it, I called my colleagues. I have contacts in the London, in the city of London, and I have contacts in New York and everything. When I called, I was surprised. What they said was simple, that you are the only oil producing country that did not pay in $1 in your account between January and March. And of course, price of oil moved from 50 something, price doubled. Ordinarily, my sister, the price of product you're selling doubled. I expect you to come in with more money if I'm a banker. But all of a sudden, you didn't pay anything. And when they investigated, they found out that this money is going to things ordinarily, maybe subsidy. There's no way our budget of subsidy for 1 year should be bigger than our budget of health for 5 years, our budget of education for 5 years. That shows there's something wrong. What are we subsidizing? Let's discuss it. It's time to sit down and say that this criminality associated with subsidy must stop. We have a country. We do things here without conscience. Even among